Barcelona's pre-season adventure through the neon glow of Asian stadiums has wrapped up, the final whistle echoing into the humid night sky, yet a curious void lingers. Iñaki Peña never stepped onto the field. He travelled across continents, absorbed the roar of fans, and felt the thud of the ball in practice. But when the whistle blew for each of the 3 fixtures, his spot on the bench remained unbroken. Every other squad member tasted those first-touch jitters under dazzling floodlights, yet Peña's name stayed etched on the team sheet, unused. How does a keeper, fit and ready, sit out entirely when his comrades chase glory under unfamiliar skies? The silence surrounding his silence begs more questions than answers, especially given Barcelona's fraught situation between the sticks. Despite the exotic backdrops, from the clamour of cheering crowds to the rhythm of foreign chants, Peña emerged as the solitary, fully fit player who watched every tree. Match like a spectator rather than a participant. As teammates stretched their limbs and tested their reflexes in competitive action, he sat, gloves untouched, heart perhaps pounding in anticipation. This anomaly stands in stark relief. A goalkeeper brought into the fold, warming the bench, while others circulate in and out of the starting lineup. It paints a puzzling portrait under Flick's new leadership, a portrait of a promising young shot-stopper watching opportunity drift away like a distant echo on a humid breeze. Compounding the mystery, the paperwork tells a tale just as stark. Peña is, on paper, Barcelona's only officially registered goalkeeper for La Liga. Andrete Teixeira, the club's customary fortress, is sidelined by a stubborn back injury that has left him pacing hospital corridors instead of goal lines. Joan Garcia and UFA veteran Wojciech Szczesny, both eager and trained, remain in administrative limbo, their registrations held up in invisible queues of bureaucracy. Thus, come August 16 at Mallorca, the only player allowed to don the gloves is the very man who never warmed up in those Asian nights, Peña. An almost cinematic twist. The only choice is the one who never played, yet Hansi Flick seems unmoved. Like a poker player staring down his cards, the coach refuses to blink at Peña's predicament. Despite the looming crisis, Flick's line is clear. He won't rely on a keeper he perceives as surplus to requirements. At 26, Peña's career should be peaking, but here he is, publicly listed for transfer, privately excluded from Flick's plans. His omission in each pre-season game feels like the final stamp on a dossier marking him as expendable. Barcelona's hierarchy appears united. Peña will be moved on regardless of the immediate gap his departure might leave. Into this breach steps Deco, the sporting director, racing the clock like a sprinter chasing a bus. Reports from us suggest Deco has grasped the urgency. He intends to push negotiations into overdrive. Whether carving a path for a loan that benefits all parties or negotiating a full transfer, Deco's mandate is clear: accelerate Peña's exit before the league's first whistle. The corridors of the club's offices echo with the urgency of phone calls, contract clauses, and agents dialing in. Every tick of the clock tightens the screws on Barcelona's strategy. Will Deco pull off a last-minute deal, or will chaos follow? Fortune, or perhaps practicality, smiles upon the plan. Peña reportedly wants out. His eyes glint with ambition, a hunger for first-team football that he hasn't tasted under Barcelona's floodlights. He's set his sights on a fresh challenge, a locker room where his gloves won't gather dust, but instead snatch crosses under open skies. This shared eagerness from both player and club oils the wheels of transfer talks. A cooperative spirit in a world often marked by stalemate. It could grease the path to a swift agreement, be it a season-long loan or a permanent transfer. But here comes the rub. If Peña departs before Garcia and Szczesny clear their bureaucratic hurdle, Barcelona will find themselves naked between the sticks. No seasoned keeper on the roster, only David Cochet, the reserve team's rising star, whom fate would thrust into an emergency start under Mallorca's unforgiving sun. A baptism by fire for the youngster and a gamble for a club still bruised by inconsistent performances. The idea of coaching facing top-flight strikers without the backup of experienced senior colleagues sends shivers through the spine of any Barca faithful. The next few days loom as a crucible for Barcelona's practicality and foresight. Will Deco orchestrate a transfer that ushers in a new guardian for the net before the opener? Can Garcia or Szczesny's paperwork materialize in time to cushion Peña's exit? Or will the club risk the ignominy of kicking off the La Liga season with an untested reserving goal? The stakes are high, the tension palpable, and the clock merciless. Barcelona must strike a delicate balance, solving one problem without spawning another. As the calendar edges closer to August 6/16, every decision, every call, every signature will reverberate across the season.